Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, intuitive astrologer, empowerment coach, and Reiki master. And today I wanted to do a video about some astrological transits that are coming up during this holiday season that I think are going to be very impactful for all of us. But before I start, I just want to do a little bit of business. First of all the videos on my channel that are related to astrology are going to be based on Western whole sign astrology. That's how I was taught, and that's how I look at the transits. Also, I believe personally that if you are looking at anything astrologically, and today we're going to be sort of focusing on the sign of Capricorn, because that's where this Venus-Pluto conjunction is happening. We're also going to focus a little bit on the signs of Taurus and Aquarius, as this is where the square between Saturn and Uranus is happening. So as you're viewing this video, it would really be helpful for you to know what your rising sign is. Your moon is what I prefer as the second most powerful. Your rising sign is going to be your perception, your perspective, how you look at the world. Your moon is your emotional body. And then the sun is how you project yourself out into the world. When I first studied astrology, I got a little confused between perception and projection. Like, how is that different? And I realized that people perceive us in a certain way. And that's what the sun really represents, is how people perceive you. So that's basically the business of how I do these videos. Today's video, what I'm going to do is talk about the transits. Then I'm going to do 3 spreads. And I'm kind of going back to the pick a card spread, because as a result of the information I'm about to give you, you may have concerns about your money and how this is going to affect you. And I was thinking about going through the zodiac and doing, each one of the signs, but I think this may be a little bit more personal for you. So if you don't know your rising sign, if you don't know your moon, or your sun, I would go to one of the free websites and you need your time of birth, your location of birth, and obviously the day of your birth. And that will give you the particulars of your natal chart. I also want to say this, because while these 3 planets represent what they call our personal planets, for me, Teri, as I intuit astrology, I also see how a transit will hit potentially a planet in the natal chart, which will then trigger an aspect within the natal chart. So for example, my moon is at 9 degrees Taurus. Right now, the transiting planet Uranus is going through Taurus, and it's hovering within 2 degrees of my moon. So not only is it making the square to Saturn, it is triggering my moon and an opposition to Mercury. So when you're looking at your chart, and even if you don't know astrology very well, you can see through the blue and the red lines where if there's a transiting planet, there may be a trigger. Okay. And if you'd like to book a session with me to go over your own personal chart and see how this will affect you, my information is below in the description. So let's start off with Pluto and Venus conjunction. This is happening in Capricorn. Capricorn naturally rules the 10th house, which is one of the highest points, if not the highest point in the chart. It rules government, structure, authority, rules, regulations, working hard, and not necessarily because you like it, but because it's what's expected of you. It's your duty. That would be Capricorn. Pluto, the planet by nature, is a destructor. It's kind of like Shiva. It destroys to rebuild. And oftentimes people are very afraid of Pluto because it rules dark things. It rules things unseen. our emotions are unseen. It rules money that is associated with other people. It can be through inheritance. It can be money through marriage. It can be taxes, people who work with other people's money, financial advisors, stockbrokers. They would be governed by Pluto in many ways, or that dynamic is governed by Pluto. It also rules intimacy and sex. And it rules the anus and toxicity. It rules criminal behavior. It rules nasty things. In addition, like, you know, we see the media right now. There's a very high profile child sex trafficking type court case going on right now. You've seen it, I'm sure, on Yahoo Trending. This is what Scorpio and what Pluto would govern. Now we have Venus, the planet of love, the planet of femininity, the planet of our possessions, beauty. It rules music and makeup and the voice and how we express ourselves. It rules our personal history. And these two planets are coming together in a very sort of chaotic and disruptive way. Pluto, the planet itself, has and I've said this a few times, I'm not sure I have it correct, but it has I want to say 600 mile, but I think it might be bigger than that, heart that is, you can see it from space. It's actually, I believe, ice. And if I remember the science behind it, there's something bubbling up within the center of the planet of Pluto that comes out, and you can see this heart. And this is very, very interesting to me, because this conjunction between Pluto and Venus is really asking every single human on the planet, what are you pretending not to know? Where are you pretending to be powerless? Where are you allowing yourself to be controlled by fear, by toxic things, toxic people, toxic information? Because we're going to see this first conjunction happening this coming Saturday, the 11th. I believe it's the 11th or the 12th, depending upon where you are in the world. And it's at the 25th degree. And the 25th degree is the Aryan degree, the degree that's ruled by Mars. And Mars and Pluto both rule Scorpio. So there is this deep need for truth, and not a truth that's fed to us by outside sources, but a truth that comes from within our heart. We will see, I believe, a lot of control over money, over we'll see governmental restrictions implemented. We will see the masses being almost confronted with their own belief system. It's sort of going to be, do you respond to what your heart is telling you, or do you respond to what outside stimulus is telling you is good for you? And I want to offer it this way, because regardless of what your heart is telling you, whether, you know, it's yes, take the shot, no, take the shot, yes, keep the job, no, quit the job, stay in the relationship, don't stay in the relationship. Your heart is the measure of your success. That's why I believe the moon is so important, because our emotional body is actually how we manifest. It's what kicks in the laws of attraction. So here we see on the 11th, this planet of the deepest possible truth, the planet that will rip away the lies that you tell yourself in order to feel safe when you're really not safe. Joining up with the planet of ultimate reception. She knows, Venus knows, that when she pushes hard up against something, she's not using her most powerful energy. Her powerful energy is the receptive energy of the feminine. And so we're going to see ourselves reevaluating how we receive Venusian things, how we receive love, how we receive money, how we demonstrate our skills, how we express ourselves and our voice, how we speak. Now, at the same time, we have Uranus, which rules the unexpected. It rules liberation and freedom. It rules anxiety and lightning and electricity and the internet and our webs of social people and groups, coming into a square with Saturn in the third and final square. Astrologers have been talking about this since 2020. This is Saturn representing the old, representing old structures that we follow without thought because they are expected of us. They are what we are taught, and they are what the masses go with. So we're going to see, and I was thinking about it when I was meditating this morning because both planets have rings around them, but Uranus is topsy-turvy, where Saturn's rings are sort of horizontal. Uranus's rings are vertical, and they both rule Aquarius, which rules the masses, rules innovation, it rules technology, and it rules humanitarian efforts. So where I'm going with this is as Pluto and Venus come into this conjunction on the 11th, then Venus is going to go retrograde. So she's slowing her roll. She's going to have sort of an intense conversation with Pluto. And this could be a highly charged sexual period of time for some people. Then she's going to go backwards in Capricorn. And then she's going to go forward again in March. No, I shouldn't say in March. She'll go forward again before then, but then she will revisit Pluto in March. Now, the first two meetings between Pluto and Venus will happen at the 25th degree, the Aryan degree. And by the time they meet again in March, I believe it will be at the Gemini degree, which is 27 degrees. Let me see what I put in here for real quickly. I'm sorry. Because the point of the degrees is to get a more fine and detailed description of what will happen. So when we see the third meeting between them at the Gemini degree, what we see is we see this being implemented into our everyday lives. Mercury rules our everyday lives, our thoughts, our speech, what we read, what we teach. It governs teammates, workmates, and our communities. So there is this intense period coming up right now and going through, I want to just say it's going to last a few months, but there's going to be transformations and then rebuilding and renovating as a result of the transformations. So we have Venus meeting with Pluto again around the 24th, 25th of December, right at the height of the holidays. So that's the second meeting between these two planets. We also have on the 24th here in the Pacific, the final square between Uranus and Saturn. This feels like, in some ways, a perfect storm and chaotic for the people who are not aware of what's going on. I'm very concerned about travel during the holidays, that people will find restrictions. They may even find themselves stranded in places if they have not been prepared. But more than anything, I want people to start to think about the idea of how you make your money and how you view and your beliefs on your resources. Because Venus in Capricorn is going to have this feeling of restriction, this feeling of doubting your value, doubting your self-worth. And Pluto, well, most people get a little edgy when they think of Pluto. Pluto's really your friend. Pluto's saying, if you will be honest enough with yourself to trust your talents, to be willing to go out and to pursue your dreams, then you have the opportunity to become very rich, and not just monetarily, but within the heart. And this is the beauty of Pluto. But Pluto is relentless, because Pluto will keep asking you the same question over and over again until you are willing to look at the truth of the answer. Meaning, here's an example. Sometimes people perpetrate very kind behaviors, and not all of them are altruistic, meaning sometimes people do nice things because they really want other people to do nice things for them. And this is where it could be one of those hazy or foggy areas where we think, no, I just do that because I want to do that. And very rarely is that the case. Normally we are in some sort of need. If you look at, oftentimes you'll find people who go into psychological careers have challenges that they themselves sought the answers to emotionally, and that compelled them to want to help others. So this period of time that we're going through, and the final square between Saturn and Uranus, is really meant to put a huge, detonator in all of the places you're holding yourself small, in all of the places where you've said, I cannot achieve, I cannot do this without this happening first, or without that person's help, or without this dynamic. So while this can feel very out of control and it can bring a lot of anxiety attached to it, I feel like if you're willing to ask yourself, what are the deeper questions? So let me give you a personal example for me. As I have had Pluto squaring a lot of my planets and have Uranus, transiting over my moon, I realized that I have a habit of feeling that the rug will be pulled out from underneath me. And I have had to dig deep and ask if somehow I'm contributing to any rugs that may be pulled out from underneath me, because I have a certain amount of focus on it. And is that focus so that it is kicking in the law of attraction? Because if indeed that's the case, then I don't want to be the co-creator of that situation. And what I get to do is go deeper into my heart and to say, Pluto, thank you very much for pointing out that I have a habitual way of emotionally responding to something. And now I get the opportunity through Venus to say, is that really true? Is the story of my life currently the same story, or have I evolved past that story? And on some level, am I dragging that story into my present moment, thereby setting the seeds for my future moments? That's what all of this is about. So I would suggest meditation, and not for the sake of trying to calm the mind, but rather just being present and noticing the noise in the mind, because the inspirations that will come through this chatterbox that is known as the brain will be powerful. They may feel minute on some level because they come quickly, and they may feel brief, but their power and their ability to transform is immeasurable, really. But your willingness to be the co-creator of your experience, to say to yourself, how have I agreed to this maybe distasteful dynamic? How has it illuminated a path I don't want to walk down? And as I am aware of that, I'm willing to take the steps to focus in on what I do want. That is the real power lies. And this is how Pluto is your friend. And this is how we can turn this time into a time of thriving. And I believe that many people who are walking a conscious path will be activated as lighthouses. So rather than feeling this pull of Pluto pulling me into the underworld, you can say, I've been to the underworld already and I'm ready to rise. I'm standing as the phoenix now. And that's what Venus has to offer me. And while she's in Capricorn, not her favorite place to be, She offers me an opportunity to rebuild the house of my thoughts, to start to ask myself, what if that's a habit? What if that line of thought is not necessarily true anymore? What if I have transcended? What if now is my time? And Pluto is saying, go into the depths of your heart. And when you think you've gone in deep, go deeper, because there's something rumbling under there. And if you pay attention to it, the whole world will get to see your transformation and be inspired by it. All right. So now what I'm going to do is 3 spreads. And this is really, while the Uranus-Saturn square is in play, and I am addressing it, my focus is really on this Pluto-Venus conjunction. And the idea that it is happening, Venus will go retrograde the day after the full moon, which is a week from this coming Saturday. And I'm going to do another video on the full moon. But she's going to be in storm period starting this weekend. She's going to start to slow down. And this is going to be where you have an opportunity to really ask yourself, as she slows down, is this my time to rise? Am I aligned to the beauty in my life? Because that's where my success lies. And that's where everything can really shift into a very favorable way. And then you can tell a new story about Pluto. All right, so this is what I'm going to do is 3 spreads. I would like you to take an opportunity to ask Spirit a question about your finances, about your relationships, because Pluto rules sex and Venus rules love. And all of these dynamics are going to come into an intense conversation. Again, this is over the next few months. So it's going to tee up, and then it's going to continue to be sort of a theme. All right, so here's angel reading number 1. I'm going to do 2 cards, or 2 deck spread, 4 cards with each deck. The first position represents the foundational dynamic. The second is the opportunity and or the obstacle. 1 coin, 2 sides. Every opportunity has an inherent obstacle, and every obstacle has an inherent opportunity. The third position represents Spirit's advice for taking advantage of the opportunity or getting around the obstacle. And the final position represents the potential outcome. And I want to really encourage you to take a minute to breathe and to really connect with your guides and invite them in for their counsel, and then be willing to allow yourself to receive the bounty, to receive the inspiration, and to remember that in many ways, this is sometimes the most challenging dynamic for the human. Is they can attract a good situation, but once they get it, they feel very vulnerable to it and feel as if they will lose it. And now is a time to anchor into, no, I not only have allowed it in, it will flourish, grow, and thrive. All right. Angel reading number 1. Our first card is Teresa. The second is Rochelle. The third is Crystal, and the final is Bethany. Right. Whoops. I dropped a card. I'm going to try to lower the screen now so that you can see the cards. Give me a second. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to turn them this way so that you can see them, and then I'll shuffle backwards. This is the first card, foundational position, opportunity and or obstacle, the angel's advice, and the potential final outcome for those of you that picked angel reading number 1. The angel Teresa talks about being busy taking care of everyone else's needs, and it's time to take care of your own needs. It's also a card for me of worry, and she is being joined by the owl. Then in the opportunity of the obstacle, we have Rochelle being joined by the focus card. We have Crystal being joined by Merlin, and then Bethany is being joined by the High Priestess. Whoa, dang it. having a little issues here dropping my cards. Hold on. Sorry about the choppy nature here. All right. Angel reading number 1. This is the owl. Deception and wisdom. One coin, two sides. If it is imperative for you, those of you that picked angel reading number 1, to give yourself permission to put the focus on yourself. Think of it as, you know, putting that mask on yourself so you can save the baby if the plane goes down. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, everybody will suffer. So please, please be aware of that, because this is a time to follow your heart. And in many ways, the focus of your heart will start to engage the law of attraction. And you'll start to see evidence, because there's Merlin offering alchemy, justice, and balance. And Crystal saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon. But in order for the angels to really implement this energy of more on the horizon, they need your cooperation to focus in on what you want, not the lack of want. The lack of money, the lack of relationship, the lack of whatever resource. Because in the final position is Bethany, the card of self-care, and there's the High Priestess. The High Priestess talks about an inner knowing, talks about a vision of yourself. And for me personally, as I have worked with astrology, I think of the natal chart as the soul's intention. So each person on the planet right now, on some level, agreed to walk through the Pluto-Venus conjunction, agreed to experience this period of history so that we could be part of the transformation. So Bethany is not a selfish energy. She's actually an energy that gives to others, because when we give to ourselves, we are standing much more in alignment with spirit. So overall, for those of you that picked angel reading number 1, it's very, very much a time to pay attention to where your mind drifts to, your obligations or your opportunities. Because as you look to your opportunities, and even if you don't know what those opportunities are right now, you do know how it would feel to thrive. You do know how to describe what it would feel like to feel peace of mind. You know, I can sleep at night. I can pay my bills. There's plenty of food on the table. There's laughter in my home, because spirit is saying there's more on the horizon that you don't know. And then as the alchemy starts to kick in, you actually get to be part of a larger tribe of people who have learned about the bounty of self-care and how it actually helps others. Okay. I hope this isn't too weird with this video. I've never done this like this. So I hope you can see the cards. Somebody mentioned they wanted to see them. So, okay. Let's see if I can adjust this a little bit. I apologize for the kookiness of this. All right. Still trying to figure all this out. Little dinosaur here, Teri. Okay. Angel reading number 2. Oh, forget about it. I'm just going to put myself back up there and show you the cards like I used to, because I feel like too weird. Okay. For those of you that picked angel reading number 2, the first angel is Seraphina. The second is Grace and Antoinette. The third is Crystal. We just saw that in the first reading in the same position. And the final is Caressa. Seraphina is the angel of happy families. She holds a child. She talks about an addition to the family coming. But I want to offer this because not always does it mean a baby. So in this particular case, we have the Lady of the Lake joining Seraphina. So this to me is telling me that those of you that picked angel reading number 2, we are going to come to some sort of, there's going to be a truth revealed that will actually bring a sense of peace into the family or into your own. I live alone. I don't have a family. So I have a family of thoughts that go off in my head. So if you're like me and you're a single person, then there's going to be a sense of calm that comes over the committee in your brain. And I want to offer it this way because at the beginning of the video, I talked about habit of emotion, about experiencing something and then defaulting to a way of feeling about it. And I think that this is what's happening. Seraphina is offering you a happy change to the committee in your head of all those thoughts that jumble around back and forth. I have value, I don't have value. People love me, I don't feel loved. I feel wealthy, I don't feel wealthy. Because now is time to have the courage to see your own process. And this is the Lady of the Lake. She holds Excalibur very lightly. There's no gripping of the sword. So as Pluto, representing the deepest truth, asks you to go in to your heart and say, are you really serving your greatest good? Are you, your own thoughts, serving the way that you want to be seen and perceive your own life? Because Grace and Antoinette is the angels of compassion. And here we have the horse. This is a very Sagittarian energy to me. And it always sort of starts to represent me having compassion as I shift my belief system. And Venus represents our family history. She rules the second house by nature, Taurus. And as you find that maybe some of the distasteful dynamics of your own family history have served to empower you, have served to define you in a greater way so that you can then put them in their proper place. Because that's what I think this is about, a shift in your beliefs and having compassion for yourself as you transform. This could not be more Plutonian because the caterpillar thinks it's dying when it goes into that cocoon and it is being transformed into the butterfly. And there's Crystal saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon. And in the final position, for those of you that picked angel reading number 2, is Caressa saying you're at the end of a life cycle, that new happiness awaits you. And there's the communications card. So I go right back to the committee in my brain. The committee that says, I'm not valuable. The committee that says, are you sure? Are you really safe? Do you have a good immune system? I don't know. Everybody in your family dies of heart attacks. Aren't you going to die of a heart attack? The fear is rampant right now. And your ego, unfortunately, will tell you that you're very, very vulnerable. So I want to give you the idea that the ego is edging God out. And as you have the truth to say, you know what, I'm here for a reason. And maybe that reason is not to be pulled under. It's not to feel less than. It's not to suffer, but to live my dreams. And part of the sweetness of that dream is this moment of unknowing, unsuredness. And I push through it. And then I am successful. Again, Pluto rules immense wealth, lots and lots of money, not just millions of dollars, billions of dollars. So when you're perceiving your moments of challenge right now, the question, what am I pretending not to know? Or the question, does this really make me happy? Why do I want this particular relationship? Why do I want this particular job? And as you dig deeper, these aren't about taking action and jumping and quitting your job or breaking up your relationship. It's more about your motivations. Pluto is like the detective. Pluto would be like Columbo, you know, if it was a character. So allow Pluto to work for you. And then the self-compassion of the shifting of your beliefs, taking it just one question at a time. Do I feel supported by spirit today? And then to seek how you are being supported. Because sometimes the disruption is actually where you feel the empowerment, because now you have a resource. I know how to get around that problem. I know how to fix that. I know how to trust this moment of unknowing. Because everything about how you talk to yourself is about to shift, and it can shift for the better as you surrender to your time to be rewarded, to receive when everybody else is in lack. All right. Let's go on to our third and final reading. All right, our first angel for reading number 3 is Archangel Gabriel. The second is Archangel Michael. The third is Vanessa, and the final is Adriana. All 3 readings have a very similar theme, focusing in on our sense of security, our sense of communication with ourselves. Archangel Gabriel represents both communications and feelings of insecurity. And she wants to work with you to help you feel more secure, more supported by the universe. And that is a result of you being able to shift your thoughts into an energy of being supported, to seek the wisdom in a challenge versus just being pulled under. Okay, Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the restriction card. Archangel Michael is being joined by the risk card. Vanessa is being joined by the raven. And Adriana is being joined by the truth card. The restriction card in this particular case feels like a pause. It does not feel like it's being imposed upon you, but rather Spirit is encouraging you to take a moment and really align to your thoughts. Oftentimes, we think we are being positive, and it's actually gasoline on a fire because we are resisting a challenging thought. This is not about resisting a challenging thought. It's just about the amount of time you're spending in that challenging thought. If you can identify the percentages, then you're already ahead of the game. Because if you can't move into an authentic positive spot, then at least being able to go into a neutral energy or some sort of distracting energy, because in some ways you're contributing to your own sense of insecurity. Because Archangel Michael is asking those of you that picked angel reading number 3 to risk and to have the courage to shift the way you're thinking, to start to allow yourself the privilege of saying, what if now is my time? What if the world right now, with it, all the crazy things going on in the school system, with our jobs, with our travel, what if all of this disruption is actually leading me to more opportunities to be and do and experience the things that I want? Before this whole pandemic started, I started working from home. And it was something that I had to choose to do. It wasn't something that happened to me. And it became this great privilege. And then as the world was put under restriction, we started to see the opportunities through those restrictions. And now we want to shift the structure to adapt. That's where Archangel Michael is asking you to personally shift your structure, have the courage to risk shifting the structure, because you've already been down into the underworld. You've already seen all the death and decay that you need to. And now it's time to rise to your place of fear and to know that magic is happening. Magic that may not appear to be magic on the superficial view of it, but at the deeper levels, there is transformation that is actually working to your benefit. And here's Adriana saying she's leading you to the answers to your prayers. And there's the truth card. Pluto, of all the things that Pluto represents, it represents the ultimate truth, the truth that we're too afraid to tell ourselves, the truth that says, I participated in this experience because I didn't believe in myself, or I attached myself to this dynamic because I didn't feel like I could do it on my own, or that I was lovable enough, or I was valuable enough, or worthy enough. That is the ultimate transformation that is happening to all humans right now. You are valuable, you are worthy, and you are deserving. And you came here to remember that and to experience it in a physical way. Because in spirit, we don't get to have sex, at least not that I'm aware of. It must happen in a very different way. We don't get to experience the power of creating money and of commingling things from an authentic place of empowerment versus disempowerment. So these are very, very exciting times, and on some level can be very scary times. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, please subscribe. If you'd like to book a private reading with me, my door is open and I am available both via the internet and in person. Have a lovely holiday season. I'll be back with a full moon video for next week. Thanks, everybody. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe.